Hey guys, Stealth here. Today I'm reviewing one of the, as far as my opinion goes, worst vehicles in Armored Warfare, the 1A5. If you like your tanks to be well armored, go look somewhere else. If you like your tanks to be survivable, pick another vehicle. If you like your tanks to have a decent gun, then at least this one is going to, well, it's not going to let you down, but it's not a great gun. The Leopard 1A5 is pretty much a unarmored tier 5 tank, which according to where the position in the game or the tank is positioned in the game doesn't really make any sense. Because especially if you look at, let's say its brethren, the M60, this one has quite a bit of armor. And I'm going to pull up the stats side by side so you can see exactly how well these things are armored. And I'll take Shishkin's line as well, the T-72 and a Chieftain Mark V. Now, what you're seeing here are all sorts of different armor stats, and just see how the Leopard 1A5 stacks up with that. The Leopard 1A5 currently does not even have the most hit points, and that's not a good thing because for this tank with the low amount of armor that it has, you'd at least expect some sort of redemption in hit points, but you don't even get that. Compared to the M60, the T-72 and the Chieftain, you can see that the armor all around the hull is by far the least on the Leopard 1A5. All you're getting is 70 millimeters of frontal hull armor. That's enough to defend you against autocannon fire, but nothing else. Your turret only has 180 millimeters. Again, that's more or less enough to defend you against autocannons. Some autocannons will pen the side of your turret if you're pretty unlucky. And main guns are just going to go through. Look at this. 193 millimeters of armor on the M60. 375s with even a 1.15 modifier for the T-72. 195 again with a modifier, and that's not even with the ERA on the Chieftain. So the amount of armor that this thing has, the 1A5, is really, really low. What you do get in exchange for that is a pretty fast tank. You can see that out of the four, the Leopard 1A5 by far has the best speed, as well as the best acceleration at 6.4 seconds. Now other, let's say, redeeming factors are the gun handling. You got a pretty good reload, you got a pretty decent accuracy spread, especially compared to the others, and your targeting time can be going down as low as 1.84 and probably even lower, depending on what retrofit you install. Now my main round for this tank is the AP-FSDS with a penetration of 319. Compare that to the other vehicles, and this is just their base AP-FSDS round, 295, 272. So the Leopard currently has the best penetration. They also have the best DPM, but the DPM does require you to stay alive, and that's not something that this vehicle does very well. Now, that being said, I have played this thing in PvP a little bit, but almost exclusively in PvE, and even there I managed to get myself killed driving this vehicle. So what goes wrong? Well, the lack of armor. The lack of armor is just a big problem for this vehicle. It follows the Leopard 1, let's say, design philosophy, which is you're going to get penetrated anyway, so we might as well make it a fast vehicle and hope it can dodge fire. That, however, puts it in the game in a bit of an unfortunate spot, as it's not quite a tank destroyer. It doesn't have that camo bonus, it doesn't have the suppressive fire. It also doesn't have the armor to withstand impacts as they're going to hit you. Armor angling doesn't really help this vehicle. You don't really have the spotting range to be competing with AFVs to get reputation points that way. So what you have is I'm not even going to say second line, but a third line tank. Something that should stay pretty far behind the lines and provide fire support from there. And that's when you can put this DPM to work. But for me, that's not the playstyle I want to use if I'm driving a main battle tank. Especially in PvE, if you're driving an MBT, you want to get in there. You want to get stuck in, you're going to take shots and at least tank for other people. But that's not going to happen with this tank. The upgrades are not really going to save you either. There is no ERA package for this vehicle, only an armor retrofit slot, which will give you a little bit more hit points, but that's about it. You get upgrades to your AP FSDS and you get a heat round. You can get a better engine. But for me, I'm not going to pay 180,000 just to get 0.3 improvement in my acceleration. Sorry, that's not worth it. Same for the improved torsion bars. I looked it up and it enhances the durability of suspension systems by 40%, which basically means you're not going to get tracked as often. But let's face it, who's going to track the Leopard? If you're going to shoot this thing anywhere, you shoot it in the lower hull, you shoot it in the upper hull, you shoot it in the turret, anywhere you're going to pen, you don't need to track this vehicle to make it less of a threat. So again, I'm not going to spend my money there. Smoke grenades are pretty much a must-have on this vehicle. If you are in a position where you really need to get out quick, and those situations will arise almost every game, then the smoke can help. Improved driver sight can also help you in order to spot the threat before you're actually completely engulfed. So make sure you get these as one of the first upgrades. Fire control system, aim time, always a nice addition to your vehicle. And the turret drive is going to improve your turret reverse. But I gotta say, the turret reverse on this vehicle is not bad. Now, as I have kitted out, I have 30 AP FSDS and 20 heat rounds. I'm using this thing exclusively in PvE. I'm not even going to dare touch PvP with this vehicle. And the difference in rounds makes it so that I usually fire AP FSDS because the damage is 348 with a pen of 319. The damage here is 435, but I cannot pen everything with 273mm. So most of the time I'll be firing AP FSDS. If I'm going up against a lot of AFVs, I'll switch to heat rounds. Consumables, same old, same old. The expensive stuff, which I pretty much never have to use, especially the automatic fire extinguisher. I have not had my Leopard catch fire once, which I gotta say is quite impressive. And the mid-tier field maintenance kit, this is something that you really shouldn't overlook, as you're gonna take hits in PvE. And making sure you actually survive all the way to the end of the battle to keep doing damage is going to be required, and you'll be requiring this thing to do that. For the retrofits, I have the advanced thermal sleeve to push my reload down and increase my DPM. Internal hull reinforcement is going to give me as much hit points as possible. Now, don't be mistaken about that price of the retrofit, because we are currently enjoying a discount on the retrofit system. But that's only going to run for January 2016, and after that this retrofit discount is probably not going to persist. So don't expect to see a price of 80,000 for yourself if you're watching this vehicle, or if you're watching this video any later than the end of January. Next, I have a mobility slot that I can use. I haven't actually put anything in there because I don't want to have to spend another 100,000 on this vehicle. You can, if you want to, either go for the enhanced supercharger and get a bit more maximum speed as well as hull traverse so you can face threats faster, or upgraded transmission, which is going to help a little bit with your acceleration, and again may mean you can get out of trouble faster. For the commander, I am going with Mr. Miramon. Ammo swap speed is useful for me in PvE to switch from AP FSDS to heat rounds. Aim speed, always a good thing to have. Increased acceleration in off-road environments for 15%, 15 seconds after firing. Again, you want to be on the move a lot with this tank, moving from cover to cover. So having increased acceleration is really helpful. Module damage, always a nice thing to have, and reload, reduced time 10%, is good for your DPM. So, that's the numbers. Let's see how this thing actually performs. And some missions, not really too good for this vehicle. Missions where you have a large open terrain, those are by far the best. Missions where you have to go into a town, where you can get spawned upon pretty quickly, and you can expect AFVs from all sorts of different angles where you don't know where exactly they're coming from. That's the problem for this vehicle. It will not be able to get into cover in time, it will not be able to take the hits, and especially AFVs such as the Weasel are extremely deadly. So make sure that the moment you see one of those, you either kill it or you run away from it. There are really no other options. Other vehicles that you need to be aware of are, of course, Ramkas, Terminators, anything that has a very high rate of autocannon fire. Those vehicles will chew up this tank in absolutely no time at all. Now in this match I'm quite happy I have a lot of tanks with armor. 3 T-72 Urals, 1 Chieftain, which means that I can sit back and snipe. And that's really the only thing that I'm going to be doing with this vehicle. Sit back and snipe. Don't engage on the front line. If I do, it's going to be over pretty quickly. Because let's say that this vehicle has 1700 hit points and the average shell does 200 to 300 damage, sometimes more depending on what you're going to get hit by. That means you can only take 4 to 5, maybe 6 hits reliably. And expect all of the hits to do damage. Expect you're not exactly as bouncy as the Ural or the Chieftain Mark V or the M60.
Control of a gas refinery and are diverting the fuel to their base of operations. They say they take from the rich and give to the
Switching
poor.
the heat.
But so far, all
This
they've
vehicle
done
is still coming out of cover.
Move quickly and recapture the refinery.
There's a BMD-4 here. You can see the heat round does quite a lot of damage. 490 is not bad. But with this refinery in the way, it might be a little bit more tough than expected to get good shots in. You can see I'm going for the lightly armored targets first, because there's most damage to be farmed there. And the Begleitpanzer with its rapid fire gun is actually very dangerous to this vehicle, because you can expect pretty much all of the rounds to start penetrating. Lovely to get rained upon by Artie. I really doubt I'm going to penetrate this thing with heat, but looks like I don't need to. I'm going to relocate to the left flank to see if I can get some of those secondaries done. You can see acceleration, mobility, it's all pretty good on this vehicle. Oh, shit. That hit. You can see that first round from the Begleitpanzer already did 164 damage. And he has 6 rounds in his clip. He could have pretty much taken off 1,000 hit points if he would have lived long enough. Very high HP Begleitpanzer there. He was just going into cover. Now this, what I'm doing, is actually quite dangerous. And I should be really careful. Because I'm way out of the comfort zone of this vehicle. And it seems that Artie has locked onto me for the rest of the game. There it is. It's the XM there. It's dangerous what I was doing to engage in a forward position, because if I find myself being overwhelmed, it's going to be the last thing I see. Come on, give me a shot on that Panzer. Bounced.
Incoming, incoming.
Oh, here we go again. Got him. Alright, let's get this secondary done. One thing I found the Leopard to be pretty good at is firing on the move, which is something that I hadn't really expected. But it's definitely nice to be able to fire on the move, get a few shots in and get the hell out. Although it doesn't do that quite as well as a light tank. Don't expect this to behave anywhere near the specs of a light tank firing on the move. Now I'm going to link up with my buddies again. If I face a Bradley on my own, there's a pretty good chance that I won't survive.
Identify target.
Oh crap, Terminator. If the Terminator just goes to town on Darrow here in the T-72, he can take it. If he does that on me, I'm pretty much guaranteed to lose 400 to 500 hit points.
Identify.
Here's the Bradley. Salvage, which means no ERA package. Watch this. I'm a bloody tank, this shouldn't be happening. But that Bradley took 200 hit points off of me. That is the thing that is the Leopard 1A5. You just don't have the armor. If even autocannon fire can penetrate you from the front, you can see the scratches right there on the vehicle. That means that this tank
Good
not
job.
really
Armored
a frontliner.
reinforcements are on the way, and infantry is en route to secure the
Looks like my
facility's
teammates are
interior.
pretty happy to start capping the base. That's pretty damn quick. Guys, we got 5 minutes left. You really want to cap it out already? Look at that, all 4 of them seem convinced that this is the right way to go. Oh well. So be it. That's a quick match for me anyway.
Great job, Black Company. That'll slow down the PLM's efforts.
Still got a decent amount of XP, 3000. Second on my team, after Acheron and the Chieftain Mark V. You can see that the vehicles that penetrated my vehicle, I'm going to pull up the dealer tree here, it was the Bradley. The Bradley has a penetration of 119, and that is more than enough to go through the front of the Leopard. Pretty much all the vehicles that you see here will penetrate this vehicle. That is how dangerous this thing, or that's how dangerous the environment is to this thing. Now, for the sake of completion or totality, I will go into PvP. Again, I have not exactly played this vehicle there, I think once or twice. And that was because just I wanted to see how well this thing is going to perform or not perform. I was not disappointed in how miserably I failed in that match. So, let's see how the matchmaker is going to gear us up this time. But looking at the amount of vehicles that I have here, tier 6 is probably going to be the dominant tier in this match. Which is even worse, because it means I'm going to get hit by large caliber guns. Oh, Jesus, look at that, even tier 7s. If a BMD-4 comes across a Leopard 1A5, it's just going to go, oh look, that's a snack. With one salvo, or one clip from its autocannon, it's going to completely obliterate this vehicle. The Fox can do the same thing. The Fox can do about 600 to 800 damage with a clip if it pens all of the rounds. It's not really the vehicle you want to encounter. Slowly firing vehicles, or vehicles with a low rate of fire, let's say Leopard 2AVs, Leopard 2, the M60 and the T72, those are at least a little bit less of a threat, but I'm not saying they're no threat. These things are still extremely dangerous to encounter, because you're just a big hit point pool for them. You're just a big XP pinata that they can just consistently hit, penetrate, do damage to, and get experience and credits from. Now, since I am absolutely no good over here in the refinery, I'm going to stick towards this left flank and try to avoid the signal flare. Yeah, I managed to stay out of range. I'm going to stick to armor penetration for this match, because the vehicles that I'm coming up against are probably going to be heavily armored or fast, and my AP rounds fly a little bit faster than the heat rounds do. You can see I'm sitting right next here to a tank destroyer. That's that's the way that I think that you need to play this vehicle in PvE, PvP. But if you have any other thoughts on that, let me know. VFM. I'm engaging this thing at what? 600 meter range in order to stay relatively safe. There, that's the VFM down. I've put in quite a few shots from this position, so it's time to move away a little bit. There's the Leo 2. And I might be able to put around... Yep, got him. And I think I hit his engine. Trying to get a better position now. At least I know I won't be engaging the Challenger, because that's all the way down in the refinery. Leo 2 AVs there as well. Currently there seems to be a BMD-4 here, but I'm also expecting the ERC, which in fact is down there. So let's have the AFVs do a bit of spotting, and I can probably back them up with my gun. He's down there in the dip. M60A3 behind cover. Leopard 1A5 ice against that one. Yeah, that's not really going to work out for him. ERC-90 is disengaging. All the same though, I don't think we have the firepower to deal with the Leopard 2AV here. BMP-3M seems to be pushing up rather aggressively. I wouldn't be surprised if that thing could penetrate me even with those HE frag rounds of his. Come on. There. Cover. Hit. He's out. There's the ice. Ooh, ice hit me. 400 damage. I gotta say, I'm not terribly disappointed yet. I've done 1600 damage, which is a little under the hit point pool of the vehicle itself. Could be worse. Unfortunately, I really don't have a good shot at this 2AV. Not yet. It's just not sticking his nose out far enough. No pen. That probably did give my position away.
Ammo up.
ERC seems to be trying to get a better angle at him, which means he might start to turn around to angle his armor towards the biggest threat. Yeah, ERC is moving around. This Leopard 2AV though is pretty lonely. He does not have a spotter with him, it seems. Ricochet. Even AP cannot really reliably go through this. Okay, it's probably going to get me killed, but I want to provide a distraction for the ERC. I want to give that tank 2 different targets to shoot at, so I'm going to move here as quickly as possible. See, the ERC is skirmishing and doing a really good job at it. He hasn't lost too many hit points. Seems like it just had a collision with something. 2AV's pulling back. He also has a VBL behind him, which is now starting to work on him. Oh, snap. Round in. Pulling back. Come on. Come on. Got him. Alright. 2200 damage. Gotta say, the vehicle's not performing as terribly as I'd expected it to. Or rather, because of my extremely cautious playstyle, this seems to be working. Crawling up this hill here, 12 kph. My engine isn't even hit, so normal tanks would probably struggle with this even more. And with normal tanks I mean, of course, let's say the brethren, the vehicles that actually do have armor. Artillery's dead. Time to start moving in. XM1, can I hit that? I tracked, or at least it did damage to his track. It's pretty heavily angled. Yeah, I doubt it. Maybe though. Yeah, 344. Engage, and again, engaging at almost 600 meter range. Just to stay safe. Challenger's asking for help. Oh, there's the BMD-4. 379. Come on, buddy. Bounced. You can see that round seemed to have gone somewhere else than I had intended. It veered off a little bit to the left, whereas I was trying to get the shot to connect with the side of the turret. BMD-4, I'm switching the heat for this one. Again, very dangerous engaging an autocannon like this.
Identified.
Hello, come here. Wonderful. Oh, that thing does not like the attention. Look at that, in no time he did 464 damage to me.
Identified. Hostile PC.
And I'm completely on my own. He can possibly clip me with one salvo of his autocannon. Yeah, here we go. Ouch, 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 ouch. Ow, I'm dead. Too aggressive. That BMD4, as I mentioned at the start of the gameplay, it completely clipped me. Did first salvo 464 and then the rest of my hit points, 872. So, never ever engage a BMD4 if it's not distracted by something else. Right now though, it seems that this BMD4 is going to come right for the artillery. And what are we doing in town? Or refinery rather. Yeah, it's just the BMD4 left now. Let's see how this plays out. The fastest vehicle that we have is the Stingray. Or at least I think so, but it takes its sweet time to accelerate. Still a Stingray against a BMD4. Not exactly too sure if it's going to work out for the Stingray. And by now the BMD4, yeah, it's right at the artillery. You can see it just nailed the other artillery unit. Come on, you're gonna have to shotgun this guy. Nope, and then you're dead. MBT-70 then. Low hit points. Missed. This BMD-4 is driving circles around everyone. He already has 6 kills on his list. 125 damage, that was an HE round. You have to push in. On the one hand, it's safe to engage a BMD-4 at range. On the other hand, it's safer to get in closer because you can more reliably do damage. At any rate, they did manage to take it down. Now, side mark, I had really not expected to do this much damage. I've done 3,300 damage, possibly some spotting, although I rather doubt that. But I had really not expected the vehicle to behave this well in PvP. I had actually expected this to be quite a disaster. But it's probably going to get me quite a decent amount of XP. There, 2,600, that's without the double. Made second on the team. And I think, yeah, I even did most of the damage. Look at that. Again, completely unexpected. And I don't cherry pick my gameplay and my replays because there's no replay system, so this was all live footage. But I really don't expect to be able to pull this off for very often. And I would rather recommend that you either prepare to lose in PvP or just continue to grind this thing in PvE, because that's by far the safest way to do it. Anyway, hope that with this video you got a bit of an idea of how vulnerable and how fragile the Leopard 1A5 is. I for one cannot wait to get to the Leopard 2AV, because the Leopard 2 line actually starts to have some armor. Look at that. 215 frontal hull armor, that's 3 times the amount that the Leopard 1A5 has. 300 millimeters of frontal turret armor with a 1.7 modifier versus 180 with a 1 times modifier. So, onto the Leopard 2AV for me, and I hope you won't have to suffer the 1A5 for too long for yourself. If you have any great strategies that work with this vehicle, please let me know in the comments so I can share those with others. And other than that, good luck riding this vehicle, and let's make sure we get to the 2AV soonest. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.